So next plateau, Mercury, and then you went back to an independent. Wild Pitch.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Wild Pitch practically did more than Mercury.
Indeed.
Not, and it doesn't mean that Mercury probably has more power and machinery than
Right.
Wild Pitch, but the label is smarter and
Mm-hmm.
the label knows what they're doing.
Right.
It's like back in the days when you had a sleeping bag, but those labels knew what they were doing more than a major label.
Indeed, they were entrenched in that culture in many ways.
Yeah.
In that vibe.
Those people on the staff are more quite familiar with rap and which way it should be marketed, whereas the majors are they just got a lot of money, but they don't know what they're doing.
Indeed. So, Wild Pitch, and then you went. It was Capitol, right?
Yeah.
It was Capitol for a hot minute.
Same thing with Capitol.
Right.
Same thing with Sex Down was a little too grimy
Mm-hmm.
for the machine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They didn't know what way to start marketing.
Right. Gotcha. So, Critical Beatdown. What would you say Critical Beatdown brought to the table at that time in hip hop that wasn't there?
Critical Beatdown bought intelligence out. It bought, like, it was me and Seb was like two scientific b-boys on like James Brown's Soul and stuff like that, and unfamiliar samples and stuff like that, and it was like an album of, like, we were Critical Beatdown was to beat all the MCs down, basically.
True.
So, and it was a distinctive album, basically, from a lot of albums, and it was just a totally different record it was just Bronx B-boys, basically, in a sci-fi manner. That's what Critical Beatdown basically was.
Indeed. Now, I remember, being in New York, being in the Bronx, feeling it, because it was something that I hadn't heard yet. I think a lot of us, kind of got that, especially the lyrics. You were out there with the lyrics, like really, bringing things to a totally different level. What was the reception with other artists that you would come across during that time?
It was a small genre of us being original, because nobody was being like us. I mean, like, you had you had Boogie Down Productions. They was their own. We had Queen Latifah. You had Naughty by Nature. I mean, but we was out before that era.
Mm-hmm.
We was like, say, maybe Rakim, Big Daddy Kane.
Indeed.
Houdini. But it was more of a different genre.
Oh, no question.
But basically for us was KRS, Shan, Ultra, and Coogee Rap, and maybe Big Daddy Kane, and that was the golden age.
You got that right.
So that was all we had as competition right
Mm-hmm.
there. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
That was like the first.
Slick Rick.
Yeah, but he was
A little bit.
Yeah, but he was
later.
original. He was original.
Yeah.
He was original.
Well, it was around the same time. Slick Rick was around the same time, but then his album dropped later.
Yeah, but he was original.
Right.
He was original.
Oh, no question.
So it was nothing too much to be different.
Right. That was the standard. Being different, being distinctive was the standard back then.
Yeah. It wasn't too much, but that was a lot of artists couldn't only. It was nothing to have a hard, complex thing to do. It wasn't complex to accept Ultramagnetic, because we was different.
Indeed. So you went from the Bronx. You mentioned B-boys, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the Bronx right there, especially back in the '80s. Hotbed of the culture of hip hop, and then you moved out. You took it left field, right? You went out to the West Coast.
Right.
What was your motivation to move out west and leave at that time the mecca of hip hop music?
Well, I think the '90s was different. I mean, a lot of groups was coming in, but the '90s seemed like it was just not too original. It was not that original. The '90s wasn't original at all. It was just everybody kind of got lost for a minute. So I think when I went west, it was more open-minded. It wasn't bad to try different things.
Right.
New York was stuck on just, you got to be militant hip-hop. So I went out west. That opened doors for me to try different things, try new music, listen to stuff, collaborate with other bands, and that was a whole new situation. And that led me into going to do Sex Style and Dr. Octagon and Dr. Doom and so forth. Anything else.
One of the things that I would say as far as your career goes is that you never stopped reinventing yourself. So you mentioned Black Elvis, and obviously all the aliases that you were creating from the beginning, right?
Yeah.
So when Octagon came around, I mean, in many ways, I think that kind of gave people a totally different perspective on you. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, Octagon definitely opened a whole new dimension of my career, because Octagon wasn't only alternative, it was rock, it was rap, it was just all the genres down. The EDM, what's the EDM?
Mm-hmm.
It was just everything. It was just all across the board. That was a toss across.
Right.
Smacked every genre. That was the first record that smacked every genre. So that opened up doors for me with everybody. I was getting, you could do a song with Bijan Bork or Mike Patton, or you could do a song with Nirvana, Dave Grohl. You could do a song with anybody, a rapper, underground rapper. So it was just pop rapper, anything. It just opened up doors with so much flexibility, which no other rapper done.
Indeed. So I would say, and I would imagine you would agree with me, I would say that, you were in many ways the catalyst for, or the inspiration for a lot of artists that kind of took on new personas, that kind of went left field, and a little bit on the spacey side, with their raps. How do you take that? I mean, they always say that imitation is the greatest form of flattery.
Right.
So do you feel that that's the case? What do you take out of that? The fact that so many people kind of took, let's just say, were inspired by you. What's your takeaway from that? You feel good about that? Does that?
Well, a lot of people was inspired by just everything we've done in the past. I mean, you can go down the list of all the groups. I mean, just in general, even back in the days from day one, like ultra stuff, just the sci-fi rhymes, the music, the sounds, and we just was inspired to do what we wanted to do on ourselves, not by somebody else. We were driven by ourselves. But a lot of people copied us down the line, and even me. So I felt like, hey, what can I say? With the industry today don't really tell you the truth. They don't want to put the truth out, that who started what and who came first. And so I'm kind of used to it, I mean, people took a lot of things from me, but that's like false pages in the Bible. So you'll never get the truth about it. You just got to keep on going and do what you do. But I never sweated it one bit. Like you said, the highest form of flattery is somebody trying to copy you.
There's nothing fair about the music industry.
Oh, no. Well, the music industry is the most, they just got pages ripped out of the Bible. Even with all these charts and stuff like that, and groups who started times and what they did, and it's all written wrong basically in the format of rap history. And from day one, it's not proper placements of who did what first and who did this first and that first. They just got it all scattered out in a like you said, in a mean, evil, money way.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
of who started what first.
Right.
Who should get an award for that first?
Indeed. So I mean, but so what's your approach to handling or dealing with the fact that, you know, Kool Keith has had a successful career, clearly. I mean, you are in the history books, no question about that.
Right.
However,
I'm glad I made it in that.
There you go.
Because they would take you out of that.
Indeed. Is it frustrating, though, to have artists that, you know, come out of left field, that haven't put in the work, that aren't necessarily innovative, but for whatever reason, maybe the marketing was right, maybe all the stars were aligned, and they got that shine, and in some ways it brought them to a different stratosphere. I mean, is that frustrating as an artistic person to see people that don't have a fraction maybe of the creativity you do get that kind of shine? I mean, we see it all the time.
Right. I don't get upset about it. Like you said, I kind of laugh at it. It's kind of humorous to see some of the groups that followed you and you know use the same blueprints that you had become successful. But the thing that I kind of get funny about is when they get up on, you know, when they accept their awards and stuff like that, they don't have you in those comments, and you be like, okay, this guy is actually up there, or this group is up there that followed everything you did in your life and past, and they get up there and be like, you know, well, we did this first and we came up with it, and, you know, I like to thank John for being this way and that way, and God, and you be like, this dude or this person or this group took everything that I did, because you could see it clearly. You know what I'm saying? You could see it clearly. You'd be like, it's so crystal clear.
Indeed, no question about that. I mean, I think as a fan of hip hop, you know, it's one of those things, especially, you know, folks that have been around longer, you know, a lot of times we might be classified as being...
like I was saying, some people had the machine behind them.
Right.
Some people came out and copied Ultramagnetic, but they had the machine behind them to go, to be put out to the masses. So the people out in the masses may think, well, that group is first because they got publicized worldwide first. They just got publicized worldwide first, but they didn't come out first.
Indeed.
You know, same with an artist that did me, he might have the machine behind him. Pushed to the masses, and the masses don't know any better.
Indeed.
Because they're not doing any research.